So last week I was asked to tell my story. How did I get into this business that I have, where I help business owners get rid of the subconscious gunk that holds them back from their next big breakthrough? And I was thinking about it, and I realized it actually there were two pieces to it. It took me a while to figure out what I really wanted to do, and then it took me a bit longer to figure out how to do it. So here's how it went. I wanted to be a therapist since high school, but I got talked out of it. I wanted to be a psychologist, like Bob Newhart in his old show, if you remember that one. I really liked the idea of helping people change their lives and feel better. And that seemed to be what Bob was in the business of doing. But I realized that, maybe basing such an important life decision on a TV show was not my best plan. So I figured I'd go straight to the top and ask a psychiatrist all my questions. Psychiatrists are medical doctors with additional training in helping and working with people with mental health issues. I figured, oh, well, if they're a doctor, they have to actually be the best of the best. So I go straight to the top with that. And what I ended up doing was I picked a name out of the phone book to call. And I actually got through to the guy. He picked up the phone. This is a long time ago. I'm sure this would never happen now. But I told the psychiatrist what I was thinking of doing and asked for his advice. And was it right for, what did I have to do to get myself set up? And it was really interesting. I can still feel his response. His voice was just so heavy and dark, and he was adamant, just don't do it, basically. He said that going into this was the worst mistake he'd ever made. Don't do it. That was the bottom line. And I was so traumatized by his trauma that I decided, okay, I'm not going to be a therapist, never going to do that. So after college, I went to law school because that's what you did back then, especially if you were accepted to Harvard Law School. You're just going to do that. So I went to law school and I started practicing law. I practiced for about 9 years because I was supposed to. And I was miserable. So finally, I decided I was going to go back to my old dream of being a therapist. I went back to school. I got a master's in marriage and family therapy, not psychology, sorry, Bob. But MFT seemed like a good one for me because it was focused on changing the here and now, not a lot of going back in time. Okay. And then I got jobs doing the therapy that I was trained to do, and I practiced it over 17 years. Now, I took a few years off in the middle there for maternity leave, but I was in the therapy room for over 17 years. And it wasn't exactly right. I knew I wanted to help people change their lives, and a lot of what I was doing was spending time on paperwork or dealing with insurance companies. And even when I was in the therapy room with people, I was often limited to helping them manage their symptoms. Depression, anxiety, whatever they came in with, we're supposed to manage those symptoms. Now, sometimes the work we did together would lead to life changes, but often they weren't making the kinds of changes that would really change their whole lives and their whole way of being. Get them happy, get them less anxious, because I wasn't allowed to do that. All I was able to do is help some of them feel better. It's not what I got into therapy for. So I added a bit of coaching on the side a couple years in. That is where I got to really focus on making big life changes with them, doing what they wanted with their careers. I started out in career coaching. That eventually morphed into business coaching. And these people were able to make the big changes, and I figured out this is what I truly wanted to do. I wanted to help people change their lives. Not just feel better, but change their lives. And it was great. Except when it wasn't. There was always a group of clients who didn't respond well to the typical way of coaching. These clients had big goals. They were totally motivated. They knew the steps they had to take to get to their goal. They even would promise me in 1 week, this is Coaching 101, they promised me, okay, over this next week I'm going to do step X. And then they knew that I was going to ask them the next time we met, okay, did you do step X? But they'd come back week after week and saying, oh, I didn't get to it. Or, oh, something got in the way. Or, well, I did it, but it didn't work out really well. And over and over again, they wouldn't have taken the step, or they would have sabotaged themselves, or something would have gone south on them. And I got really curious about that. So what I did is I brought in EFT tapping, which I had learned in the therapy realm and used with my therapy clients to great effect. And I thought, okay, well, I'll try it with these coaching clients. And what came up was, first of all, I wanted to figure out what was getting in the way. Why were they not taking action? And what came up was that they were had these old subconscious blocks, old rules, old learning, old beliefs that would get triggered when we try to get them to take action that they wanted to take for the goals they wanted to get to. So that old stuff would get triggered. And once I knew that was going on, it was pretty easy to use the tapping to release that old programming. And then they started taking action. They started changing their lives and getting the results they wanted. So for a while I called myself a procrastination coach, but I realized it was more than that. Some clients were procrastinating, but some, it wasn't about procrastinating. They were actually taking actions, but they were doing the wrong things, or they were sabotaging themselves when they started to get results, or they'd be taking actions with the wrong energy, and so that the results they get with other people would just not be what they were looking for. All the things that they were doing were creating the wrong results. But with the tapping, clients who before had been stuck in these old patterns found it easy to change their actions and their energy. Once they started doing that, they started getting the results that had been out of reach for so very long. They made decisions they'd been stuck on for years. They followed through on their passions, what they felt called to do. They delegated more. They worked less. They made and kept more money. They let themselves be more happy. And I realized that was my true calling. Helping people get out of their own way so that they could create the lives they were meant to live. And I realized that this was the way to do it with the tapping, because with the tapping we could change those old subconscious programs so that even people for whom the regular coaching just wasn't effective could follow through on their dreams. So that's what I do now. I'm not exactly Bob Newhart, but I am changing lives. And it is so satisfying to both my clients and to me. So that's my story. What's yours? Do you find yourself stuck repeating those patterns that aren't working for you? If so, consider using tapping to get out of the old patterns. It has been amazing for my clients and for me. Okay, that's my story. Hope that was useful to you. Think about using tapping yourself. And I will see you. Well, this is a video challenge, so I'll see you tomorrow in another video. Take care. Happy tapping.